coalition is on the offensive. ISIL is on the defensive, and ISIL is going to lose. The resolution we've submitted today does not call for the deployment of U.S. ground combat forces to Iraq or Syria. It is not the authorization of another ground war, like Afghanistan or Iraq. I'm convinced that the United States should not get dragged back into another prolonged ground war in the Middle East.
All right, so that was President Obama officially asking Congress for new authority to go to war with ISIS, but he's very clear that he will not allow U.S. ground troops in this battle. I'm joined now by Arizona Republican John McCain, who is now the chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee, where he has been very, very busy and traveling back and forth to Saudi Arabia. Senator, good to have you with us this morning. Welcome.
Thank you.
So what did you think about the president's statement that you just heard?
It's kind of classic Obama, telling everybody and our enemies what we're not going to do. No articulation of a strategy. Nothing is said about Bashar Assad, who has slaughtered over 200,000 people of his own people and driven millions into refugee status. And we are training people, by the way, young Syrians to go back into Syria to fight against Bashar Assad. What are we going to do if Bashar Assad keeps on barrel bombing them? This was a study in Obama incoherency. And of course, we're glad to know they're going to be defeated. But I'll tell you an ugly truth, Martha, and that is we are going to have boots on the ground. The Iraqi army is a long, long way from being viable. The work now is being done by Peshmerga, and guess who else? Shia militia, who are Iranian-backed and Iranian-equipped in Iraq. So this is a situation completely in disarray, a total lack of American leadership.
Well, the picture that the president presented yesterday, he said the coalition is strong. The coalition is strong. He said we are training moderates in Syria to battle ISIS in their neck of the woods on their own. We're standing up the Iraqi military to do the same thing where they are. So because those boots are on the ground, he says, we won't need our boots on the ground.
Well, history shows, and any military man worth his salt or woman will tell you that you have to have American forward air controllers, special forces, and other capabilities embedded in these forces. And again, he separates Iraq from Syria, whereas ISIS is one entity. But if he would come to Congress and say, here's our strategy, rather than just announcing what we won't do, which is in his tradition of announcing withdrawals, there might be something to it. But what this really is a admission or perhaps a tacit continuation of what has failed and turned the area into chaos. And by the way, we are training some people. Meanwhile, we have reports of thousands of people flowing into Iraq and Syria to fight for ISIS.
So, I mean, Senator, is there any chance that the Iraqi forces as they exist now and the Syrian forces that we're training, can they stand up to ISIS? Can they achieve the goal that the president set himself of destroying this entity and wiping it off the face of the earth?
Over time, if we trained enough, equipped enough, had American boots on the ground to do those integral missions that only the United States can do, we could over time. What we're doing now, it's not going to work, Martha, and I know of no military expert that will tell you that it will, that's outside of the administration.
I mean,
we've heard really kind of a sad
litany
day.
of, I'm sorry to interrupt, of former defense secretaries to this president who say exactly what you're saying right now, that the plan as it exists isn't going to work. So what's going to happen when it goes to Congress for approval? Is this going to take months and months to hash out this AUMF?
Unless they can articulate a strategy that they can convince us will work in order to do what the president said our goal is, degrade and defeat ISIS, and I believe it must have something to do with Bashar Assad as well, I don't think it's going anywhere, to tell you the truth.
All right, so what's next? I mean, you know, he presents this plan. He tells us this is what the goal of the United States is, and then what are you all going to come back to him with?
Well, we've been having hearings, as you know, about the situation, and we've had the smartest people in America, ranging from Henry Kissinger and Madeleine Albright, George Shultz, to former generals like General Jack Keane and others who you see a lot on this on your program, and all of them have articulated that we do not have a strategy to succeed, not to mention the Iranian threat, which is now widespread, the latest, of course, being Yemen, the Houthis being a Iranian-sponsored terrorist organization. So we just have to keep pressing. We just have to keep pressing to get this president and this administration to recognize that there is a direct threat to the United States of America. That's what the head of British MI5 said in a speech just a couple of weeks ago.
I mean, we saw Susan Rice. She said that she does not believe that this group presents an existential threat to the United States, and yet the president said that it's absolutely necessary for our national security to defeat ISIL. So those two things seem at odds.
Well, most importantly, they pose a direct threat to the United States. Now, whether that is, quote, imminent or not,
right,
but it is only logic that these people who are Europeans, all they have to do is go home and get on an airplane to come to the United States of America.
Well, we've got a very compelling national security issue in all of this on our hands, as you have talked about quite a bit. Senator, thank you so much. We'll see you next time.